Hello everyone, welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zheng. First of all, how exciting that today I can finally do live streaming. YouTube had blocked me from going live for as long as 90 days for posting the video of CCP Professor Di Dongshen's bragging about how the CCP had their own people at the top level of the inner circle of the US politics, and how the CCP would like to have Biden in power, and as they had deals with his son Hunter Biden, etc. So YouTube had not only deleted that video of mine, but also banned me from going live for 90 days. Anyway, now let's go to our topics today. Have you ever been to Las Vegas? If you have, you must have visited one of the most magnificent venues there, the Venetian Resort Hotel and Casino. You are seeing a picture of it. Or you might have been to an event at the Sands Expo and Convention Center. Let's show a picture of it too. They all belong to the world's largest casino operator, Las Vegas Sands Corp. Recently, this upscale resort and casino company is leaving the US market and moving virtually all its assets to Asia, in fact, to Macau and Singapore. Some people say this is a huge bet. Will this bet be successful? Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about it. Then I will briefly discuss another two topics. How could the CCP already had COVID vaccine as early as March 2020? And why did Xi Jinping need 2 cups at the CCP's most important annual political conference, while all others had only 1 cup? I will show you a lot of interesting photos, so please make sure you stick around till the end. Las Vegas Sands recently sold its signature property in Las Vegas for $6.25 billion and is going to invest $5.5 billion to renovate and grow its casino holdings in Macau and Singapore. This means the world's largest casino operator will effectively exit its Las Vegas roots to focus on its Asian operations. From whatever angle, this is a huge move. But will this giant bet succeed? Sands started the selling process of its properties as early as last October. The move was widely seen as the result of the massive impact of the CCP virus pandemic. The temporary shutdown, the reduction in visitors and business customers have caused the company's revenue to drop by more than 47%. In the first 9 months of 2020, Sands posted a net loss of more than $1 billion. In 2019, before the COVID outbreak, Sands had about 85% of its revenue coming from its real estate business in Asia. However, Sands' performance in Singapore and Macau last year was also not good. Its Singapore company Marina Bay Sands reported a 76.9% drop in full-year earnings, while the netcom of Sands China plunged nearly 81% last year. According to Hong Kong's Apple Daily, if Sands decides to completely shift its focus on China, there exist some uncertainties, and the biggest one is whether Sands' gambling license in Macau can be renewed after it expires in June 2022. Up to now, the Macau government has not yet disclosed its intention as to whether it will renew Sands' license or not. As the tensions between the US and China continue, there are concerns that as Sands is a US company, its license renewal could be affected. As early as 2018, Hong Kong newspaper Oriental Daily reported that while there had been rumors that the government of Macau might initiate an open bid for gambling licenses, details of the renewal of current licenses were not disclosed, and the reason might be that the Macau authorities were waiting for instructions from Beijing. The report also said that the renewal of licenses could become an important bargaining chip for the CCP in the US-China trade war. And then there were rumors about Sands' late founder Shelton Alderson, who just died 2 months ago in January this year. Let's show a picture of him first. So Alderson was the biggest donor for America's Republican Party and was President Trump's largest financial supporter in the 2016 election and in the Mueller investigation into the so-called Russia collusion. He was also considered the financial backbone of Trump's 2020 re-election campaign. And let's show a picture of Alderson and President Trump. Alderson had long since been regarded as a GOP power broker and America's most influential GOP donor over the final years of his life. According to Guo Wengui, an exiled Chinese billionaire living in the US, CCP once used the renewal of Sands' Macau gambling license as a bargaining chip to force Alderson to pressure President Trump during the US-China trade war. Guo Wengui said the CCP leader Xi Jinping told Alderson that Sands could not only have its license renewed in Macau, but also gain a new license in Hainan province in China, but only on the condition that Trump was not re-elected. In the US, there are conflicting media reports about Alderson's attitude towards Trump. Let's show the screenshot of a Wall Street Journal report in September 2019. The report says that President Trump's sudden escalation of the trade war with China last month triggered a telephone call from billionaire casino owner Shelton Alderson, who warned the president about the conflict's impact on the US economy and Mr. Trump's re-election prospects. Now let's show a report of Politico. It was published in August 2020, 3 months before Election Day. The report says that a phone call between Trump and Alderson unexpectedly turned contentious. The report goes like this. Trump brought the conversation around to the campaign and confronted Alderson about why he wasn't doing more to bolster his re-election. Alderson chose not to come back at Trump. So from these conflicting reports, we could still see that it seemed that Alderson had given pressure to Trump regarding the trade war with China. And if he was the biggest donor of Republican Party, his words must have a lot of weight. In order to get into the Chinese market, Sands had made a huge investment and went so far as to bribe the CCP officials. The bribery was revealed when Richard Sun, a Hong Kong businessman who brokered the deal between Sands and the CCP, sued Alderson in the US back in 2004. The court case revealed that in 2000, Sun told Alderson about Macau's openness on gambling licenses. Sun then arranged Alderson's meetings with Chen Qi-cheng, former Chinese vice premier and the then director of the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office. Sun also arranged Alderson's meetings with Liu Qi, president of Beijing Olympic Committee and secretary of the CCP Beijing Municipal Committee. Afterwards, the governor of Macau issued gambling licenses to Sands. in return, Anderson lobbied bigwigs in the GOP using his relationship with the party, which resulted in the abortion of the resolution on resisting Beijing's Olympic bid. After 14 years of a back-and-forth long legal battle, the case between Richard Sun and Sands was settled in March 2019. Terms of the settlement was not announced. But in 2013, the court had ruled that Sands must pay Richard Sun $70 million as his compensation. The $70 million later grew to more than $100 million with interest. In another separate case, Sands was fined $9 million by the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission in April 2016. It was convicted of breaching the Foreign Corruption Practice Act, as a large amount of money it invested in China was not clearly accounted for. So, if the compensation to Richard Sun could be as huge as $100 million, we could only imagine how much Sands had paid as bribery money to get its Macau license. Experts say that in addition to the uncertainty surrounding the extension of its Macau's gambling license, Sands' growing investment in China will make it hard for it to pull out, and the bid is very risky. Dr. Frank Tianxie, a professor in business at the University of South Carolina-Aiken, said that the risks are from two different aspects, economic and political risks. She said Sands' investment in Macau obviously aims at attracting people from China. In the past, a lot of CCP officials went to Macau to gamble, to either enjoy themselves or do money laundering. However, Xi Jinping's vigorous anti-corruption campaigns have greatly curbed these people from going to Macau or anywhere else in the world. In the meantime, the Chinese economy is not doing well. Foreign exchange reserves are tight, so there is not much money to take out. Another risk is in the political field. Whether it is Chen Qiteng or Liu Qi who helped Sands to get the license before, they were all outdated now. Some of the political figures with whom Sands had established a relationship before might have belonged to Jiang Zemin's faction. With the change of leadership in China, everything else has changed too. All this created more uncertainties for Sands' big bid. Furthermore, the chances of a total collapse of the CCP's political system and the economy are increasing, and Sands has definitely underestimated the risk of investing in China. Now, let's move to our next topic, the CCP virus or COVID-19 vaccine. During the recent CCP's two sessions, that is, the CCP's annual National People's Congress and the National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, Yu Qingming, a delegate to the National People's Congress and the party secretary and chairman of China National Pharmaceutical Group, which is called Sinopharm for short. Let's show a picture of him. So this is Yu Qingming. He disclosed that Sinopharm's senior management had received the CCP virus vaccine a year ago. He also claimed that the antibodies were still at a high level a year later. He said after 1 year of continuous antibody tracking and monitoring, it was found that the antibodies all remained at a very high level and did not show any significant decline. Previously, Sinopharm had said that their vaccine could provide protection for at least 6 months. After this news was published, a lot of people started asking, how could they develop the vaccine as soon as March last year? We all know that according to the CCP's official information or reports, the first CCP virus cases appeared in Wuhan, China in December 2019. The big outbreak was in January 2020, and the first successful isolation of the virus from clinical samples was on January 7. And then on January 11th, the full genome of the CCP virus was published on the website virological.org by Dr. Zhang Yongzheng's team. Zhang Yongzheng is a professor at the Shanghai Public Health Clinical Center. So, that is to say, the genome of the CCP virus was only available on January 11th. How could the CCP develop a vaccine as soon as only 2 months later? In normal circumstances, it needs several years to develop a vaccine, and President Trump had kept bragging about how great the US was for being able to develop a vaccine in only 9 months. So how could the CCP get a vaccine in only 2 months? If the claim that they had a vaccine in March 2020 is true, there are only 2 possibilities. 1, the virus was a bioweapon that was developed by the CCP long ago, and they had started the development of the vaccine long before the virus became known to the world. 2, the virus was released by accident, but much earlier than December 2019. So the CCP started to develop the vaccine much earlier. In the meantime, they refused to tell the world and covered up the truth all the way until right now. Whichever of the above 2 situations is true, the world needs to hold the CCP accountable for the losses of millions of lives and unfathomable sufferings in so many other forms. Unfortunately, it seems that nobody is thinking or talking about this anymore. Now, let's move to our last topic today, Xi Jinping's 2 cups. Let's show a picture of the CCP's 2 sessions that have lasted for several days and just closed today. You can see that Xi Jinping has 2 cups in front of him, while all others only have 1 cup. While the CCP's conferences are very boring like always, every year, people could find something interesting to talk about. So Xi Jinping's 2 cups became a hot topic for some Chinese netizens this year, and more interesting stuff was dug out. Now let's show a picture of last year. People found that last year, while the conference staff kept adding water to other CCP leaders' empty cups, Xi Jinping's cup was taken away instead, and then another cup was put in front of him. That is, his cup got exchanged. Now let's show a picture of 2016. In that year, there were 3 male attendants serving the leaders. One of them held a small water bottle and poured water for Xi Jinping only. The other 2 moved to the left and the right to pour waters for other leaders. So why did Xi Jinping need 2 cups, and why did his cup get exchanged? Why didn't they just add more water to his cup like they did to other leaders' cups? The best guess is he needs more water than others, and he didn't want people to see what was in his cup. That's why they took the entire cup away with a cover on it instead of open the cover and add more water. So what was the thing in the cup that he didn't want people to see? The best guess is medicine. Xi Jinping might have some health issues and had to take medicine during a long meeting, so he hid it in the cup that way. Quite mysterious and interesting, right? Everything about the CCP is not only evil, but also very weird. Adding water to the leaders' teacups is a very important job. Let's see a few pictures of beautiful-looking young women practicing how to maintain their body shapes and straight lines when moving forward to add water to the leaders. They really need to practice very, very hard to achieve that. But have you noticed that now it is young men instead of young women doing the job? Why did they exchange the gender of the attendants? Now let's show a few pictures of how former CCP leader Jiang Zemin stared at the young woman who poured the water for him. There are a lot of other similar photos of him and other CCP leaders looking at the young ladies in a disgusting manner. That had started becoming some sort of international joke several years ago. So, since 2015, the CCP has been using male attendants to add the water to avoid similar disgusting scenes from being caught by the cameras. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoy our first live broadcasting. If you like my content, please subscribe to and share my channel. Please also take some time to like my videos and leave us a comment. Thank you. See you next time.